In my last video, I was discussing the difficulties of using this camera, the Cybershot DSC-H55, with something like this tripod, especially on that little stand. Now in that video, my audio quality suffered a bit, and that was because of the camera I was using. Now the story goes that when I was getting a spare battery for this camera, I happened upon this. Now this is made by a company called Alesis, and Alesis is a company that I've always liked to kind of keep an eye on because they're probably one of the few companies out there making genuinely useful iPod and iPhone accessories. And in addition to that, they made this thing. Now, like I said, with shoot and share cameras, their biggest failing is always the sound. The sound is terrible. It's meant to favor the person holding the camera more than anything else. Even the cell phone, which probably shouldn't surprise anybody. So leave it to two companies, Zoom and Alesis, to make cameras that would address this issue. Thus we have the Videotrack. Zoom's is called the Q3, and it's a little bit better than this one. I got this guy for criminally cheap. I won't tell you exactly how much, except the difference between these two items was a nickel. And I don't mean the charge in the battery, I just mean the battery. For a nickel less, I got a whole video camera with its own battery, which strangely I can't really find a replacement for, so that might become a problem. But anyway, the Alesis Videotrack. Now, like I said, I got it criminally cheap, and you can kind of see why. These scratches, this was a new item, according to where I got it from. And it had the wrap and plastic and everything, and yet has scratches on the LCD. So I can only assume maybe this was returned, maybe it was a display, maybe someone lied. But here it is. A Videotrack shoot and share camcorder for criminally cheap, with very nice microphones that are aimed directly forward and past each other for reasons I don't really feel like explaining. It's to do with a stereo imaging pattern. It never made a lot of sense to me. But I've got to say, for what I paid for this, it's a decent little package. So you got your standard record mode, digital zoom, which is completely worthless as we've discussed, headphone jack, and then a mic gain switch. I think when I was shooting that video I had it on medium, which I set to as default. As you could tell, things were a little bit hard to hear. And overall, that's a video light, by the way, it's very lightweight, incredibly cheaply made. I don't know what the Zoom Q3 is like, I don't have that one, or its HD equivalent. This is a standard definition, by the way. But I like this nice rubberized texture to it. It gives you a better grip on it. It's not the slick, smooth plastic of the Flip Ultra. But it's hard to quantify on camera just how lightweight something is, but even with the battery in, get that cover on, oh, get the battery in, and even with the included 2 GB SD card, it's just very flimsy and plasticky. It could fit on top of this little tripod without any problem at all. And funnily enough, of the accessories that it comes with, one of them is this thing. This is basically a pistol grip for your camera. Screws into the tripod mount, so you can get a better grip on it, even though it's already got this nice rubber grip, and hold it that way. You get a little steadier grip. But the funny thing, I know I keep going on how lightweight the camera is, but this is heavier. I'm not even kidding. This is significantly heavier than this with the battery and everything. And this is actually probably the highlight of the whole package. I really like this. I've tried to find similar accessories to this because I like having that pistol grip when I use my cameras. In fact, that's actually why I got the small tripod, so I could hold it like that. I actually did that in my audio log video for the first-person shooter sequence. So how's the camera itself? Well, the video quality is kind of garbage. The audio is really good, and I'll get to that in a second. Something about it, every time you turn it on, yeah. So imagine trying to be conspicuous with this thing. Especially given that you've got your standard video mode, a still image mode, and audio only. So even if you're just recording audio only, that little light comes on every time you turn it on and try to record with it. Now I've used the audio only mode, just basically holding it facing myself like one of my voice recorders, and it actually sounds really good. So I'm going to be trying some stuff with some video with this, but let's play back. That is the Alesis Videotrack, one of the cheapest shoot and share cameras you can get. Basically for marketing. Alesis just couldn't seem to sell these things, mostly because of the Zoom Q3, but overall it's got good audio quality, nice rubberized grip, very lightweight, and comes with a pretty good accessory pack, including probably, best of all, this little grip. So I am going to be using this in a few videos, but not for all of them, because something I didn't mention. So, there we are. I can't stand to look at this LCD. I don't know what it is. If you have this thing, maybe you've had this experience too, but I think either it's too bright or too washed out or it's sunken in at a weird angle. It's hard to look at. Just looking at this thing for more than a few seconds gives me a terrible headache. It's literally the same effect that happens when I use the Nintendo 3DS, when I just look at the stored demo. 10 seconds, my frontal lobe wants to break out of my skull and crawl out my nose for dear life. And this is the same way. So I literally, sometimes when I'm using this, I wear sunglasses. That's how bad this is. I'll probably be getting one of those LCD hoods like I have on the CyberShot. But yeah, overall, do I recommend it? Like I said, for what I paid for it, I've probably done way worse. And as a voice recorder, it's not really all that bad. And probably my favorite feature about it, besides that little pistol grip, charges through USB. More devices need to do this. More devices need to power up through USB. The Flip Ultra, that's not a problem because that just uses plain ordinary AA's. My old Nokia still uses an old pin instead of charging through USB, which is a bit of a nuisance. But yeah, the Alesis Videotrack, if you can find it, and don't pay a lot for it when you do, it's a neat little experiment, and really you can probably do a lot worse for a little bit more. But yep, that is the mysterious poor quality video from the last time, because the microphones are aimed forward, so it's the exact opposite of a Flip Ultra or the CyberShot. The microphones favor what you're looking at for once. So that will, in part, solve your audio problems with shoot and share cameras. So if you see a camera like this with a Zoom Q3, give them a look.